India bans nearly 60 Chinese apps, including TikTok and WeChat. The move is part of the tit-for-tat retaliation after the Indian and Chinese militaries clashed earlier this month. Sure, it's true it is tit-for-tat, but it also has value in other ways. TikTok and other Chinese apps, you know, they spy on you, right? That's why I deleted it from my phone. I saw this the other day online. You know, the Apple iPhone operating system called iOS, the new one, tells you whenever an app is reading whatever's on your clipboard. Do you know what a clipboard is? When you copy and paste something, like an email, it's stored temporarily. It's called a clipboard. It's actually obviously just digital. But TikTok reads that. Look at the top there. It's going nuts. TikTok spies on your clipboard every few seconds. And that was just revealed because the new iOS system shows you that. So, holy cow. So yeah, I mean, imagine if you copied a password, right? If you copied and pasted a password, well, now TikTok's read it. How do you feel about that? So yeah, as the New York Times says, it is tit for tat, but it's also about security, isn't it? I know a lot of teenage girls in India are going to be sad that they can't do karaoke videos on TikTok now. Yeah, I know that's going to happen, but I'm guessing a Made in India app or a Made in America app that does a pretty good job of replicating the fun parts of the TikTok experience will come along pretty soon, and it won't spy on your clipboard. You know, entrepreneurs came up with a way of rooting out all the Made in China stuff from your phone in India. They actually created an app that is called Remove China Apps. It'll just do it for you. But would you look at this? Google, the pro-China multinational company that refuses to work for the US Pentagon, but that accepts work in China, they have banned that Remove China app from their app store. In the battle between the democracies and China, Google has chosen sides, haven't they? They chose the dictatorship because they think that's where the cash is. So that's the Indian side. How about the Chinese side? How are they handling this whole shooting war? It's always a possibility that China chose this moment to fight with India to distract from its own economic and health hardships, to get its people looking at something else. It's sort of dictatorship 101, isn't it? Have an external enemy. Or maybe China just genuinely thinks this is a good time to cause trouble in the region because the whole world is focused on other things, especially America is focused on other things. But I read a report that the domestic Chinese propaganda media, as in what is shown to Chinese citizens, has actually been almost silent about this fight with India. They haven't used it as a glorious moment. They haven't been showing footage of it, whipping up their citizens against India. They've just almost totally ignored it. Just barely mentioned it within China. Now that suggests that they don't think it's going well, I would guess, or they don't think it would go over well. I'm just guessing here. But I also follow what China is saying to the outside world in English, outside the Great Firewall of China. I follow Global Times. That's an English language foreign policy propaganda outlet for China. I follow them because I want to see what they're saying. Every hour, they keep telling India how it's making a terrible mistake by unhooking from China. I mean, look at this. This is just from today. Just today. India's app ban, which selectively and discriminatorily targets dozens of Chinese apps on ambiguous and far-fetched grounds, is an abuse of national security exceptions and a suspected violation of relevant WTO rules. China Embassy in India. Here's another one. India's app ban has made its political crackdown on Chinese companies open and blatant. India shouldn't underestimate the consequences of economic war. Indian nationalism may see more losses than Doklam crisis. And then again, Chinese investors are mulling whether to cut ties with India amid the onslaught of COVID-19, a rise of Indian nationalism, and geopolitical threats against Chinese businesses following border closure. I'm going to read one more. India's app ban will hurt Indian IT workers and escalate tensions. Recent China-India border tensions must not be turned into an opportunity for warmongers in India. That's all just from a few hours today. I think maybe they're panicking in Beijing. And this is from the editor of Global Times. He's the chief Chinese foreign policy propagandist in the country, I guess, who I should tell you, this is sort of weird, he personally follows me on Twitter. I don't know if you can see that there, but 391,000 people in the world follow him on Twitter. He only follows 669 people back in the whole world, including moi. In some ways, I'm a bit nervous about that. But in other ways, I want them to read what I have to say. I want them to hear the voice of dissent and democracy and liberty, the other side of the story. So I haven't blocked him. Here's what he tweeted about India. Well, even if Chinese people want to boycott Indian products, they can't really find many Indian goods. Indian friends, you need to have some things that are more important than nationalism. What? This is your diplomacy? You guys really can't really make anything good. You can't really do anything yourselves in here. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's going to persuade Indian people to come back as customers to China, buddy. I like it, though. It's probably pushing India away. 60 years ago, India was pushed into the arms of the Soviet Union. Today, I hope India is pushed to become more independent from China and more of a friend to the free countries of the world, including one day, I hope, us here in Canada. That's an excerpt from my daily show, the Ezra Levant Show. Every day I do a monologue on the news of the day, then I interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. You gotta subscribe. Go to rebelnews.com.